First of all, everybody's welcome here to the Kingdom in Kilkeel. It's absolutely brilliant to be here in person and see some people. And we are absolutely delighted to be here. You know, it's great to be in the Kingdom, and you know the work that you do in this area is phenomenal, and sometimes you don't maybe shout it loud enough. So this is an opportunity today to hear about some great youth work in this area, particularly under the theme of health and well-being. So today's event here, we are in the Kingdom in Kilkeel, and it has been organised by Kingdom Youth Club, The Well and St Patrick's Katie, who are three local groups who provide essential youth work provision for young people, particularly under the theme of health and well-being. And that's what we're going to hear a wee bit more about today at this engagement event in Kilkeel. So this initiative is part of an Education Authority Youth Service Regional Youth Development Funding. So the EA, and we have a representative here today, Aileen O'Callaghan. Aileen, lovely to see you today. Education Authority invested in what's called the Youth Work Practice Development Hub. And Youth Action, along with our partners Bites, who are here today, and Carafriend, lead together as three organisations on this project. And we're about, 5 months in, maybe? About 5 months into the project, so it's still early days, and we have another year and a half left of the project. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the Youth Work Practice Development Hub as we go on. So as I say, the Youth Work Practice Development Hub is led by Youth Action, but in partnership with Carafriend and Bites. We couldn't do it without one another. You know, we're a really tight partnership, I think it's fair to say, for this project. We have lots of meetings, and we always keep each other informed about what we're doing. Today is about the engagement event, about hearing about the great youth work practice, as we say, in this area. For me, it's really important that youth work is proud of what it does. You know, sometimes we're quite humble and we don't say it loudly enough. And from my perspective as well, over many a year, we often have other commentators writing about youth work and, you know, evaluating our work or coming in from the outside. And I think it's time for us to stand tall and be proud of what we do. I really do believe that. You know, we have something to say, so let's say it about the impact that we have, not just on young people. And as we hear the case studies today, it's about the impact on the wider community as well. And it's in the here and now, but it's also for the future. So we have that story to tell. So I think that's why it's so important that we're doing this. As Sheila said, so we will have the engagement event. That's what the primary purpose of today is. But we will also be launching, we thought we would write on the back of the engagement event today, that we would launch the online youth work practice platform, you know. So it's really exciting, and we'll say more about that in a little bit. So, just to return to, this is the Youth Work Practice Development Hub was initiated, the idea, the concept came from the Education Authority Youth Service, which is fantastic. And it's really about 5 different things. It's about providing this online platform for practice. That youth workers, whether you're in a local club or a regional youth work organisation, that you can go and tap into and look at different resources under different themes. You can also look at case studies from different organisations, or you can look at research or get links to other curriculum areas that might support your youth work. So that's a really important part of the Youth Work Practice Development Hub. The second part of it is the development of these case studies. So it's not case studies from organisations like Bites and Carafriend and Youth Action. It's about hearing it from local youth work organisations and local clubs, such as the Kingdom here today. So it's about helping local groups tell their story and be the author of their own script and go, this is it. It's not being written by somebody else. It's from our perspective. Here it is. So over the lifetime of this project, the year and a half that we have left, we will have 12 case studies documented onto this platform. So today we will hear 2 to 3, but there will be 12 over the lifetime of the project. So the Youth Work Practice Development Hub is also about the development of youth work resources, right? So we have already started populating onto this portal here, not allowed to say portal, isn't that right? Onto the online platform, examples of we think good youth work resources that youth workers and volunteers can access to help them in their youth work practice. But we want to develop new ones, and we want to hear about what's happening in local clubs. So different exercises that you might use in your everyday youth work that we can share with other people that you might not think are that great. Sure, does everybody not just do this? Not always. So it's really good just to kind of get it out there and share with other people as well. The fourth part of the Youth Work Practice Development Hub is expression workshops. So when we're asking local groups to come and to tell their story in whatever way they want. So again, it doesn't have to be in the written word. It can be through video, and we will hear from Orla shortly on video as well. It can be through illustration or painting or whatever. People sometimes don't know where to start. It's like, how do I tell my story? What is my story? Who's actually going to want to listen to it? How do I best present it? That type of thing. So we try and provide support through our youth workers across the 3 organisations, so across Youth Action, Bites and Car Friend, who go out to the local groups to help kind of think how to best tell your story and tell it in a way that you can feel proud of. So as we go on through this project, we will have these expression workshops running in the future. We had one in Derry, I think about maybe 3-4 weeks ago or something like that as well. So we hope to keep running those just to help connect local groups together. The 5th component of the Youth Work Practice Development Hub, the last part, is today, stakeholder engagement events. It's where those who have developed their case study bring some people together to kind of go, we want to tell you about our youth work, and we're really proud of what we do. And we hope that the people who come want to hear about it as well. So stakeholder engagement events are people coming to hear about youth work and share that together. So if I can have Lee just up. First of all, Lee, you okay just to say a few words about maybe what you've been up to and why do you believe the Practice Development Hub is important, or take it in your own way?
Yeah.
Good man.
Right, folks. Wednesday morning, bit of crack anyway, sure. So Car Friend is navigate here. Car Friend is part of the Practice Development Hub, are looking after learning and achieving and inclusion and diversity and equality of opportunity. Our organisation focuses on the development of good practice when working with LGBTQI plus children and young people. So the impact that we have found on youth workers' practice generally is not just the dissemination of information or passing on labels and identities, but it's the actual sharing of situations and events that have meant that we're making an impact on those young people's lives through inclusion and diversity. And that's a big appeal for us in this partnership, to put that across and sort of develop that part of our training and education for youth workers. We've been working with a number of youth clubs that have had experience, working with LGBTQI plus young people almost in a vacuum from other LGBT youth services, working specifically with those communities, and trying to put across those moments where the labels disappear and where the terminology disappears. And the real emphasis there is the relationship between that youth worker and the young person, and putting that really in the forefront. That's sort of our perspective there when it comes to the Practice Development Hub.
Greatly, thank you very much. Super duper. And then either Lee or Ian, or Charlene from Bites. So Aidan generally doesn't like talking in public, but well done, Aidan. So give it up for Aidan, yay! So Aidan, just a few words, whatever you think.
I suppose our role was to actually build the platform, as well as contribute to it. So I think we've done that quite successfully and made it as simple as possible to navigate, made it as easy for people to use. It's aimed and targeted for those that are just beginning their careers, and also those that are maybe at the end of them, that they can share experiences and learn from each other. We all know that we learn new things all the time, and that's part of our focus, is bringing that to them, in a digital format. Living in safety and stability is a big part of that. It's being safe and secure online. So I think that's part of our ethos in this, is through the use of digital technologies, and creating this hub allows those people to access it and benefit from others' experiences. And it is all about sharing. As Lee was saying, it's about, we all know something and we can all help each other along, and that's what this is about, sharing best practice and helping making the programmes more fun and interactive, rather than the same old boring PowerPoints and things like that. It's where I think we're all fed up with that, and at this stage we're zoomed out as well, so we've done all those. This is something new, and something that we've all worked on and had to develop over the last few years, so it's up to date. That's the thing I'll say. It's just a matter of keep sharing those things.
Thanks, Ian.
All right, no problem.
Good man yourself. Happy days. See, he speaks well. And he speaks sense as well, not just well, So, we are organisations that connect to the local groups. Youth Work should speak with a unified voice. We all care about young people. We probably love young people. We maybe don't say that as much, but we really care and want the very, very best for them. So at the stakeholder engagement events like today, it's not just about those presenting, it's about all of us here as well, and what can we take away from it. We will do a short summary paper of today's event. So Ryan Shaw is our rapporteur for today. So Ryan, thanks for doing that. So Ryan will be doing up a short discussion paper, short summary of what was discussed today. So again, that we can share that on the online platform with everybody involved as well. So, without further ado, we're about to get underway. So as I say, today's theme is the theme of health and wellbeing. And I'm going to pass over to Sheila and Kaylee from Youth Action just to introduce our case study group. So Sheila and Kaylee, you're very welcome.
Yeah, I can go first because you've got the wee video and all as well. Is that all right?
Yeah.
So me and Sheila were lucky enough to. When I say lucky enough, there's not that much pressure laying on us. We were lucky enough to go first with our local members to sort of put the word out and see what they wanted to do in terms of their case study. Don't be going too hard on us if it's not up to your standards. But no, here, look, listen, the youth club that I've been working with in Katie have done really, really well. Brona, unfortunately, she couldn't be here today because she works during the day, but we'll have Francesca and Connell that have been involved in the walking group, so they're going to maybe say a wee piece. I'm going to start off by maybe, if it's alright, to read out the wee case study, and then I have a couple of copies there in the paddy pocket, so if you just want to have a look, I can pass a few of them out. And then at the end, Francesca and Colin, if they're feeling up that, can share a few things just about their experience of the walking group and how they found it, and maybe what went well and what they can improve on in the future. Whatever, see how it goes. Nice and easy and relaxed anyway. Yeah. So the St Patrick's Youth Club Katie case study, mental health and wellbeing during COVID. The global pandemic in 2020 brought the world to a standstill. Everybody followed guidelines on isolating and keeping away from each other to keep each other safe. This we did and carried on doing so for a year and a half. Our young people did their bit too. They missed school, they stayed in their bubbles and they stayed away from their friends and people who meant a lot to them. As you can imagine, people became lonely, depressed, sad, scared and isolating had a negative impact on friendships, self-esteem and the confidence of the young people here in Katie. Slowly we got the word that our youth club could begin to meet again. Staff and volunteers thought how best we can bring our young people together in a safe way. We wanted to increase social interactions and mental wellbeing. We also recognised the importance of exercise and being outdoors as making big strides in improving health and wellbeing. So St Patrick's walking group was developed. We planned a 6-week walking group around the Katie area, taking in local glens, forests and the countryside. We started off with week 1 with 3 members of staff, 1 volunteer and 10 kids. As the weeks progressed, the numbers increased until we were having up to 20 young people joining us on our weekly walks. This programme was a great success and the young people made a display of the places they walked around and discussed and evaluated the places they enjoyed the most. We noticed the enjoyment and engagement the young people gained from the walking programme and how it greatly improved the mental health and wellbeing of our young people. The programme started as a way of getting the young people out of the house, but it became much more than that. We were able to use the walking group as a way of connecting with the young people and hearing how their weeks were. We also used the walking group to get young people out in nature and to be able to identify the local forests and walking trails. We also incorporated some icebreakers and activities into the walks to keep the sessions fun and to give the young people some time to themselves. We will continue to incorporate the working group into our programmes, and plans are underway for longer walks and new and exciting places to visit. And then there's just a couple of quotes from the young people that took part in it. I loved the walk up to Monroe Field because I got to play with my friends. Gosford Park because there was a lot of parks we got to go to and the shops and it was a lot of fun. I loved the Palace Stables because it was a good walk. I loved walking through the fields because we saw animals. My favourite was going to the Gosford because we got to go on the zip line. And then that was just by some of the young members of the group. And then as you flick through the rest of the pages, there's a wee photo of the youth club done up like a wee memory walking board in the local youth club, and that's just all the collection of photos that they took part. And then as you flick through the last page, I'm making absolutely butchering turning the pages here, but just some more photos from it. So hopefully that'll be already put up on the website, and if anybody wants to have a look at it then work away and feel free, but I just thought it was a class simple exercise, simple but really important, that you could do with your groups, especially in the times that it was as well, COVID, not being able to meet indoors. The youth club really wanted to get meeting young people again, and the walking group was a class idea of getting young people out again. And really talking, that whole social side of things was really important for it too. So if you don't mind, Colin and Francesca, if you want to maybe share, because you were the ones that actually done all the work. If you don't mind, but here,
Thanks, Megan.
Well, I'm only new to the youth club, so it was my first sort of like planning thing to do with them, and it was good because as a new job I also got to take my son with me, so I got him out for fresh air and things like that there, and he also went to bed a half an hour earlier. So it was good fun, it was good exercise, and as Kaylee said as well, every week more and more children came, and with it not being on now these last couple of weeks, they've actually begged us to start it again. So it's good for them out and about, and it's something to do. So again, all different places. I got to go to Gosford for the first time, so it was good experience in that. And then, as I say, all the activities that was there was games and all played. The leader of our walk, Tony, he does a lot of walking at his thing, so he taught all the children about different trees and different things, and just learned them about different areas. And then when we went to like the likes of the Palace Stables and places that got there, he actually filled them in with bits of history and things that happened around it. So it was as good as much as it was good out exercise, it was a good learning activities for some of the areas. So yeah.
Yeah, well, as a person at the back, making sure no kids ran off, so I never got to learn or anything. No, I thought it was, when I was going through the weeks, you saw how calming of an experience it was on the kids. They were rough and rowdy, beating up with each other again, till calming down quite a lot. And just like Francesca says, they're still looking to do the walking group.
The beg every week.
It's just that the weather and the early nights aren't really helping the situations. Yeah. So anyone have any questions?
Yeah, that us then.
So, Sheila, I'm going to invite you then just for Kilkee.
So I worked alongside Kingdom Youth Club and The Well. Whenever I was gifted with the challenge of coming up with a case study, initially thought of Kingdom Youth Club because we've been out and supporting them so much throughout this last year. So Orla and Sarah Jane from The Well and Orla from the Kingdom Youth Club got together and thought of like one of the main challenges that they faced post many lockdowns was some challenging behaviours that young people were faced with. So this opportunity was great for them to be able to reflect on what kind of programme they developed as a response to that there, and then what were the outcomes, what worked well, what needed to happen, and who else needed to be involved in the project, such as Leanne, one of the practitioners from The Well. So there's no point in me kind of speaking about it because it's better when we hear it from yourselves. So I'm going to invite Orla and Sarah Jane up to speak about it, and Leanne herself. We'll be kind to Orla as well. Just a wee quick mention that Orla's she's been thrown in the deep end, like she's just...
Show her video.
She's a new youth worker in charge. She's only been in post maybe not even 6 months or less, so she definitely has been thrown into the deep end. So let's hear what their case study was about. Throw her in again, yeah, why not?
Great.
So usually I feel I talk, quite well. I'm laid back and easy going, but my voice might go today because I feel a bit nervous. But there is a video that will do the main talking, if you like. But we've worked in partnership with The Well during summer scheme it developed. It was like 100 kids a day, 6 days a week for 7 weeks. So loads of challenges came up, and we developed then Well Wednesday. So the kids came along with a blanket, a pillow, and attended with Leanne, and learnt different strategies and coping mechanisms for my voice is going, I'm so nervous. The video will do the talking, but we do continue with this work now on a daily basis. I'll let Sarah Jane take over, and then I'll settle myself down. If there's any questions then after the video and everything else, hopefully I'm a bit more. Hi, I'm Orla, and I am leader in charge at Kingdom Youth Club. So what I'm hoping to discuss today is the challenges that we face with our young people regarding their mental health and well-being. Here at Kingdom we ran a 7-week summer scheme. Our numbers were quite large, anything from 80 up to 130 kids 6 days a week. So although it was an amazing environment, a lot of our kids showed concern by overwhelming, by feeling tense. Some kids were taking themselves away, isolating themselves, or often complaining of the sore head. So myself and the team spoke each day after each session, and we definitely seen we have a challenge here, we have a problem. These young people need more support. We want them to come in and feel safe, calm, and just enjoy the whole environment. So what we done was we went and approached the practitioners of the Well. We explained our difficulties and concerns, and we were offered then to work in partnership with them. So the Well had offered us a safe space on a Wednesday. We called it the Well Hub, the Wellbeing Hub, and our kids could have availed of this on a Wednesday. I would say 8 to 11-year-olds were the main users of it, but it was open to everyone and all age groups did avail. So the outcome of using the Well was our young people learned many different techniques, from play therapy, breathing sessions, just to really calm themselves and get engaged in the new environments they're in. But also us as staff have really jumped onto these techniques and learned a lot from it. What we do is we would use these breathing techniques mainly at our sessions at Youth Club. So we could use them at the start of a session to just breathe in, forget the troubles at home, forget what's worrying you, and enjoy where you're at right now. We also can use them at the end of a session. So, I mean, the breathing techniques definitely, they're good for us, they're good for the kids. So that's been a great highlight. The other thing that we use would be, we have a men's shed also in the same grounds, and it has a planting area, it has a pond, and we certainly feel a lot of activities are quite passive, such as gaming, watching TV and things like this, and that can affect your mental health and well-being. Whereas the garden area, there's more of a flow. The activities there is definitely more of a flow. So the young people will go over, they'll plant, they'll observe, or they just use it as a nice calming space. There's the pond, the fountain, and it gives them time for reflection and just self-improvement. We definitely notice we want to embed our partnership with the Well and the Youth Club. It definitely needs to be embedded, and it needs to continue. Not only are the young people that did use it looking for it and asking for it, we also have young adults requesting the use of it. So as you can understand, mental health and well-being has definitely affected so many people, and we just feel absolutely privileged to have been able to offer this and continue to offer it for our environment.
Hi everybody, my name's Sarah Jane and I am the project lead for the Well, and this is my colleague who is just amazing, Leanne, who is the sand tray therapist at the Well. So I know you guys don't have a Well hub in your back pocket, and we are very, very lucky here to have something like this. But what I will say is we are a bit ahead of the posse here. And a good year ago, we decided we were going to have a wellbeing hub here because we could see that we needed it. And I think we were all a bit sick of restarting and reacting to COVID. And it really gave us the opportunity to take a step back and be proactive and look at what can we do to change the outcomes of what's happening here. And so really taking stock and doing a really thorough needs analysis with Orla here at the Youth Club was fantastic. And then taking that away and sitting down with Leanne to make a bespoke 7-week programme with the issues that we're being presented with here. So some of the issues, as Orla has already said, was, lack of concentration and lack of understanding actually as to what was going on here. We're in a global pandemic. What has actually happened? Everybody's talking about mental health, and people were actually afraid and scared because they're hearing what's going on in the news. So really taking the educational approach with the youth club here and informing the kids as much as we could at their level. Everybody has mental health. Everybody has it. And because we're in a global pandemic and we're coming out of lockdown, this is normal to be like this, what we think, because nobody knows. We've never done this before. So a lot of what we done, guys, honestly, was being brave, being daring, and knowing that we weren't going to do any harm. We're going to take a big, deep breath and go for this, because this was our young people, and we're thinking of the generations to come. We don't want these guys to have serious problems. And likewise, no service is going to come and arrive in our door and say, we're here to help you. What can we do? So we knew we had to do it ourselves. And I think that's what, you guys and Katie, you've got up and done it yourselves, and that's a bit like what we did. So we got the heads together, and that's just really what we came up with. Now, yes, it was 7 weeks, and it was, tough and challenging, but my goodness, did we learn a lot. And we did make changes, and I think we've changed the outcomes for a lot of our young people in their lives, because we intervened at the time we did. We were proactive in our approach, and we're very reflective on our practice. So there's lots of things, we get to that later, about what we would definitely not do and what we should have done and stuff. But I think that's really it. Our Wellbeing Wednesday model, guys, was just, it was a Wednesday and we decided we'll call it Wellbeing. There is no big rocket science behind that. The issues were very clear. We really triaged what the problems were and decided, right, this is what we're going to deal with, because these young people needed to be able to, if we went into another lockdown, they needed to be reliant on themselves, and they needed to be able to take care of themselves and know that I can do this. And I'm capable of regulating myself. I'm capable of improving my own concentration, and I can do this. But we had to learn them. And I suppose we were quite afraid if there was another lockdown, what could happen. So we wanted to make sure we got that in kind of first. And is there anything, what else is next? I think that's really it. We just really helped our young people with the resources that we give them, so that whenever they left, they felt capable to regulate themselves. And I'm going to hand you over to the fabulous Leanne, because Leanne has been integral. I know you don't have a child play therapist in your back pocket either. And we are very, very lucky here that we have Leanne, and we've got other therapists at the Well that do other things. But Leanne primarily is, other than being a fantastic person and very caring to kids, she is an excellent therapist, and that is what really helped us get through the 7 weeks, So I'll pass you over to Leanne.
Hi, I'm going to totally disagree with that. I come in on the back of, watching what was going on in terms of the youth work and the provisions that were set. I was lucky I was able to bring my 2 girls, one 11 and one 8, and how they were accepted and integrated into a community where they had groups, where they came out of lockdown and developed new friendships, because that was one of the things that they had lost. Not only was it that they had developed their own anxieties, my little one had developed, kind of sensory issues where she started picking at her skin, putting the uniform on again and pulling around her neck, feeling claustrophobic. This new way of being did not suit her at all. And the other, for the eldest, she was like, I actually enjoy being at home because I don't have friends. I don't know how to make friends. So collectively, in terms of that, being able to come here and settling in with the group, and the youth workers being so wonderful and saying, look, we accept you, come in, let's help you find friends and establish friendship groups, was colossal. So in being involved with the Well, my role initially was working one-on-one, and not only with teens but adults, and then over time through the SAM therapy working with children, and the children been really vocal in what they needed. So whenever the opportunity arose, in order to kind of devise some sort of programme, 7 weeks, to put our heads together, collectively on the first week we had 48 children all running towards the well. I was like, oh, what do we do? So initially we held it outside, and it was a case of, okay, what do you need? And the children very vocal. Well, you know what, this is what I've experienced. And again, some of the stories that came through were really heart-wrenching, you know, that these little people are having these experiences that grown adults sometimes feel really difficult to contain, you know. So again, as adults, we want to kind of push away, repress, deny, you know, we get on with it, we don't talk about it. But for these little people, they needed stories, they needed narratives they wanted to share. So as part of that, the kind of, when we say we co-created, actually the children were very focal on what they needed. They wanted to identify themselves with groups. Collectively, they brought themselves together in little groups as well, you know, from kind of teens right down, again, collectively we're saying around to 8 to 11. But in that, what their needs were, and it was really interesting, some of the names that they provided, because it was some of the narratives and the stories that they were experiencing. So the beer guzzling Guinness drinkers gives you a kind of an idea of, okay, what's maybe happening at home? You know, what does that mean? And in a way it came very jolly and it was quite exciting, but actually telling you, this is part of my story, I want you to ask me more. And other ones were, you know, the unique or the lonely, you know, so again you get a picture of what that means. And in that then, so what is it that you need? Well, I have anxiety or have a bereavement in my family. You know, that lockdown, I wasn't able to see my granny and she passed away. So all of these stories came through. I don't know how to manage it, so can you show me how? So in that then we created kind of the mindfulness, because it was some part of that of being mindful, being in the here and the now, because as part of that, some of the anxiety that we had was for future. So we were anxious that the rumination that goes on in our mind, and trying to quiet that down, or it was kind of the low, sad, depressed that we were back in. So being in the here and the now was really, really important, and that's where we kind of created some of the mindfulness, the mindfulness walk, and we used then the men's shed and the lovely gardens just to regulate, to slow down, to start noticing. And the power of collectively the group as well enabled people then to have that joint shared experience and also that connection. So it was really wonderful. We created the meditation and the colour breathing, slowing down our breathing, being able to catch our breath when we have that anxiety, just to slow it down, help to regulate, to model and mirror off another person, and to know that at times, you know, that I may not get it right, but it's okay because we all can breathe. But let's practice, let's see if we can slow it down. Maybe can we hold our breath? And the fun in that was really, it was wonderful to watch. And again, they taught me some things, you know, some things that I didn't necessarily know, because collectively what they did was they modelled off maybe their siblings or their parents. My mum does yoga. My older sister, she sits in her room and she meditates. So I'd have a few kind of sitting crossed and really regulate, and others going, well, I'm going to try that. So collectively, again, you know, this excitement of developing a new skill. Well, I can do that. You know, for other children, they were demonstrating their yoga poses. Naturally, some children will kind of be introverted, and you'll see them lying on the sofa or, you know, regulating themselves on the swings really, really fast. That's helping titrate some of that emotional energy that they have. We learned how to cope with anxiety, and sometimes it's just being with the anxiety, being really present. What does it feel like? You know, my heart's racing, or I get really, really sweaty. Wow, okay. What is it about your breath? Breathe really, really fast. I might talk really, really fast. Let's slow it down. So really, again, it was about trying to ground ourselves. We looked at relaxation and kind of self-care, and some of that was through our senses, you know. The aromatherapy was really fun because it brought us back to older memories. So we were talking about what smells help you relax. It's like, and we shared some, the aromatherapy oils, and one was lavender. And again, we all kind of know that. But it brought us back to a child in a memory. I used to go to my granny's and she grew that in the garden. Oh, I really enjoyed. I miss her. And then it brought us into kind of looking at kind of loss and grief. Other ones then was cinnamon. Oh, it reminds me of Christmas. I really enjoy that. And then there was other ones that maybe just, oh, that smells. Oh, that reminds me of something else. But again, it triggered a memory, which was really great because then it triggered discussions then. But again, collectively, how wonderful that was to share, you know. And to know that we're all different. Some senses will suit others, and for others it's, you know, as the children will say, oh, it stinks. Oh, I really don't like that. But again, we know what will work for some may not work for another. And we're all individual, and that's okay. Again, problem solving through the power of friendship. I thought that was a really powerful one, and that was one that we've pulled out in terms of our case study.
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe talk about that one? Or, so that would be, who did we say that was? We have that. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I have so many pieces of paper. It's like, no, it's not. I was watching you. I was like, no, you're doing great. You're doing great. But it is, and you start to, when you stop talking, you start taking it.
I have it here.
Yeah, I might have it over here as well. Sorry, Sarah. But as I say, it was a really wonderful.
That's it there, Leanne.
Oh, thank you. Oh, this is great. Yeah. This was something that they advised themselves. I think we had arranged something completely different, but actually in the moment of, again, it's a fictitious name, but we said Chloe, but Chloe had come through and was really one of the quieter members of the group, but really had a lovely, relaxing demeanour. So there was lots of people that kind of went in and around her and really enjoyed her company. But what she said was, I am really anxious. And we said, well, because we were going around collectively, what would we be anxious? And one of them was not being able to make friends. I'm going into secondary school. I'm so quiet, and I find it really difficult. So collectively, hands were going up and saying, oh, you know what I do? And I thought, okay, well, let's get together and let's put some paper out and let's work together about kind of problem solving. What can be really helpful for Chloe? And everybody took the chance to kind of put something down and talked about it and role modelled it and practiced it. And you could see Chloe smiling, getting really settled, and kind of all these kind of new ideas are kind of popping into mind. But it was wonderful to see that everybody then says, I experienced that too. And for some of the group, you wouldn't have known that because actually, they're really loud and boisterous and, really interactive. And then some of the other group were just a lot quieter. But actually to know that loud kind of, interactive person still had some of that anxiety. So it was shared learning for them. It's like, okay, so we all maybe have some of this. So what we looked at, even the group that was around them, it was a small group, but such a wonderful group. Collectively, they kind of helped her with her own limitations then. So it was a shared interaction. They listened together. There was no judgment, which was really wonderful. It's not, well, I don't experience that, and that's not my case. But actually, yeah. So sharing that, they were confiding in each other, and that's something that we don't do sometimes. Don't tell people your business. You don't share that you're not feeling well or you're anxious. Nobody needs to know that. Put your face on, your mask, your facade. But actually, allowing it and being really open and transparent, saying, you know what, and sharing that kind of the empathy. And a sense of belonging, because that's what she really needed. She did have a really good established friendship, and I actually believe that she still has some of those friends. She still texts them and goes to school with some of them now. So they had that bond here in, the youth club. That again, and my daughter would be included in that, and I am so pleased for that opportunity to have that, because without that I think my daughter maybe would have had more anxiety, where actually she developed a lot of tools being here, and she was cherished, because there was a lot of laughter, there was a lot of fun, and that broke up that. So it was one of our case studies. So it was wonderful, as I say, and it's the power of community, the power of inclusion, connection, and I think we kind of covered that in the early. It's so vital, but also the ability to sit and just listen and to hold somebody's story, to share that narrative. Okay, so that is it. Is there anything else? Thank you.
Do you want to speak about any recommendations or anything like that? And I'll look for this wee video.
Recommendations as in?
Like, what have you learnt, kind of, or is there anything you would do differently?
Well, 47 kids coming at you. We'll get a pair of trainers and run. Yeah. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, I think really taking stock of it all, there's lots of things we would do differently, of course. But at the time, you do what you have to do to get the young people and the kids here where we need to get them through this and get them the skills equipped that they need to get through this if there's going to be another lockdown or whatever it is. So our recommendations would be take stock and don't get caught up in the whole reactionary mode of COVID, because that was drawing us down a rabbit hole that we were never going to come out of. So taking stock and taking a step back and really looking at, we actually looked at the generations here, and I think because we're so enmeshed in our community, and we can see, well, we know what the crack is with that person's father and what went on in their family, and they've had a lot of hardship, they've had a lot of loss, they've had a lot of bereavement. That local knowledge really helped us pull all of our resources together to make this bespoke to the young people here. So if we were going to do it for other clubs, you'd really need to have that good community local knowledge so that you're effective and that you understand it. We're a fishing community here, and so that brings about lots of different things, because their parents could be away for a long time on the boat. That's not maybe Katie maybe don't have that. They're not a fishing community. So it's all them wee small things that actually make what we done, I think, really specific to us and to our young people's needs. So taking a step back and taking stock, definitely. That's all I can think of.
Hi everyone, and it's been absolutely brilliant today to hear all these different case studies. So that's what I'm going to speak to you now about, is how to sort of develop a case study or some curriculum resources for sharing locally and online based on one of the 6 themes of the Practice Development Hub, which is the first being health and well-being, second, good relations, third, inclusion, diversity and equality of opportunity, learning and achieving, and living in safety and stability and participation. So if you want to contribute, please contact myself, Ryan Shaw, who will guide you to the relevant partner by emailing ryan@youthaction.org. All the details will also be on the site. I nearly said portal. So Youth Action also hosts regular expression clinics, sort of support groups for local groups to inspire one another and to share ideas. So it is really about being the architect of your own design, the composer of your own music, do you know what I mean? And there is so many different ways to, do these expressions and case studies. And again, why I'm saying expressions as well is it doesn't have to necessarily be a case study. We're all workers, we all hear young people, volunteer students, we all see and hear different things, we have different thoughts and stuff, that can, if you get it out there, as Leanne said earlier about, sharing that story, but to get more out of that story. And everybody has a story, but never just one story. So, yep. So just to let you know as well that our next expression support hub will be held in Belfast in College Square North on the 7th of December at 10 a.m. It's also on our on the Practice Development Hub site on the calendar. And you can also contribute to the content of the online platform by contacting Youth Action NI. And the link to the site is youthpracticehub.org. Thank you.
We're now at the stage of we're actually going to launch the brand new Youth Work Practice Development Hub online platform. And our goal really was to develop and provide this online resource for the youth work sector, for the full youth work sector as a resource. Sean, you mentioned the word earlier. It's a resource of resources. I really love that. So I'm going to start using that. So this is a new resource of lots of different resources. And it's for case studies, it's for curriculum resources, and it's for research that volunteers, that youth workers, managers, etc. can all access in a very, very easy way. So the site will be, we have a step-by-step guide on how to navigate the site. As I say, it is simple, it is not complex, but we're going to watch now in just a little second the actual simple step-by-step guide of how to navigate the system.
Hello, this video is to help navigating the Youth Practice Hub website. You can search as normal for Youth Practice Hub using your browser of choice, or type the URL into the address bar, youthpracticehub.org. When you reach the landing page, you will be greeted by a paragraph explaining the site, and scrolling down you will see our resources and their categories. You can infinitely scroll this page or use the search function above. If searching for a particular category, you can click on one of the banners and find the specific page you need. These pages also infinitely scroll. To open a resource, you can hover over it, click on the text that appears, or if you wish to open in a new tab, you can right click and select open a new tab, or push down on the middle mouse button. While in the categories and subcategories, you will find a search bar to assist in your search. In About Us, you can find details on the site and those that run it. And in the events page, you can find any and all upcoming and past events that were scheduled. Thank you for watching, and I hope this helps.